In order to understand the seal itself, we have to first take a look at every single thing that composites it. We look at the first part of it on our left, which would be the truncated pyramid one. Above it is a 13-letter Latin expression that says Annuit Coeptus, and directly underneath the base of the pyramid is a 3-word Latin expression which is Novus Ordo Seclorum. If you were to look up the word, let's say, work, in the English dictionary, you're going to find at least 50 different meanings for it. It is the same thing in Latin. Different words have different meanings. They have more than one meaning. The word seclorum, one of the definitive meanings is secular. Something that is secular is of the world. So it is proper, very proper, to translate the bottom as New World Order, the Novus Ordo Seclorum. The whole of it is saying, announcing the birth of a new world order. This would be Dr. Adam Weishaupt himself, the very first head of the Order of the Illuminati. It was Weishaupt who had himself come up with a 7-part plan to create what he called the Novus Ordo Seclorum, or the New World Order. This is the person responsible for it. The interesting thing about the front of the dollar bill is that there are 4 huge ones. There is one in every single corner. Now, if we look at every single one of them, they each have an oval around it, except for the top right-hand one. Now, if we look at this blow-up version of it, you will find there's no oval. This is a shield that is surrounding the one. Now, the reason there's a shield here is because this is very similar to the original shield that was given to the Rothschild family when Baron Meyer Amschel Rothschild had become knighted in England and received the lordship. If we look across the top of this shield, all the way to the left-hand side, it drops down and forms a crescent moon. It's a crescent moon because it represents the female goddess in the occult world. At the bottom of that shield, of that lunar moon, you will see the owl. And it's very obvious, once you take a good look at that part of the crescent moon, and it is the same Illuminati owl that is being worshipped at the Bohemian Grove in California by those members of the Bohemian Grove, where presidents, premiers, kings and queens and heads of nations throughout this world have met. You can tell just by looking at this photo, that is a 40-foot owl. It is made out of oak, and that the worshippers are surrounding that fire pit around that altar, which is easily reflected in the lake around them. This is definitely the owl of the Illuminati.
The rituals performed at the Bohemian Grove are occult and idolatrous. One of them, called the cremation of care, is supposed to be a mock human sacrifice, though some suggest that real killings take place. When President Nixon was there, he commented about the extreme homosexual environment at this all-male boys' club. Among other powerful American leaders who have been spotted at the Grove are Ronald Reagan, Dwight Eisenhower, Jimmy Carter, Newt Gingrich, and George Bush Jr. and Sr.
Now, we take a look at the O. It is actually, occultically speaking, the shape of the Ouroboros, the snake that's going around in a circle, devouring itself. This O is actually the eye in this lady's face that they want to look at. This is the O. Now, what's in the center of this O? You take a good look. It is the exact same owl of the Illuminati that we saw on the back of the $1 bill. So the question then becomes, who owns L'Oreal?
But the owl seems to be a major symbol for the secret societies, as they are found repeatedly inside government buildings in Washington, D.C. and a giant owl figure is even seen in the street design, with the United States Capitol in the midst of it.
Now the Druids from the Gaelic Druid means men of oak. These people worshipped creation among other things, but their sacred symbol was the owl, because the ancient god of magic and of the hunt was Pallas Athena. Her bird was the owl, and that owl represented wisdom, and always has.
Pallas Athena was also the goddess figure who was said to inspire Sir Francis Bacon. But now look at this owl seal at the Bohemian Grove, where it says, "Weaving spiders come not here." While the line is taken from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream, could this also be a veiled reference to what seems like a spiderweb design that forms the background of the dollar bill? Are there additional secrets hidden there?
Now, I'm sure you've heard of a Rorschach smear, or the Rorschach ink blot test, as created by Dr. Rorschach himself. You see the ink in the forefront, and everything else is in the background. This way, your subconscious mind is supposed to pick up on what's on the foreground, and you're supposed to be able to tell what you are subconsciously seeing. Notice how it's very busy. Lot of intersection diagonally lines. You can't make out what's there. But let's get rid of the background noise, get rid of all the diagonal lines that doesn't belong there, and let's reverse the principle of Rorschach and take what's in the background and bring it to the forefront and see what's there. Because once we do that, we find out it's quite obvious that there is another Illuminati owl, and that it is perched on something that looks like an arrow. That is what they don't want you to see. Once you see this owl here, and compare it to the other one on the left-hand side of it, it becomes very obvious that this is an owl. You can now begin to distinguish beyond all that busy signals and such that they don't want you to look through. Yet, they place there in honor of their totem bird, the owl of wisdom, which is the totem bird because their god, Lucifer, was supposed to have been the wisest of all of God's creation. Wisdom of Lucifer, wisdom into the bird, wisdom into the word Illuminati. Therefore, the chain of wisdom is followed all the way through.
All right, now, did they teach you this in the Illuminati?
Yes. Well, I want you to understand that the first symbol is known as a pentalpha, from the Greek word for five, pente. It is a five-pointed star. Now, this next one is a pentacle. Now, it looks similar, but I want you to notice how it is interwoven. It runs through and in between itself. Now, this next symbol is what's known as the Star of David, the Mogan David, the Jewish Star, the Seal of Solomon. There's numbers for it. This is the symbol for the nation of Israel. Now, when you take a look at it very carefully, you will notice that it is two equilateral triangles that are interwoven. This shows the union of God with man. However, when you look at the next one, it's similar to it. It's known as a hexagon. This is when you take two equilateral triangles, place one on top of another. Symbolically speaking, you're placing man above God. Now, this next symbol is the foulest, the most evil of all symbols in the occult world. There is nothing that can even come close. It is known as the hexagram. It is the six-pointed star with a circle surrounding it. It is this symbol that must be used during high ceremonial magic or high ceremonial witchcraft when you are summoning demons to this plane of existence.
The use of the hexagram is said by Doc to be very symbolic and seems to represent the occult concept of a Christ figure, just as the Maitreya was for Nicholas Roerich and Henry Wallace. But what Christ do they mean? Doc believes the pattern of hexagrams in the design of the dollar bill provides the clue.
If we take a look at the 13 stars directly above the head of the eagle and connect the dots, you will see where the very first hexagram is located. And if you notice that surrounding the hexagram is the 28 guidelines that make a circle. Now, inside every single point, the 6 points, is a star. There are 6 of them. They surround now the 7 stars. Remember, 6 is the number of man, 7 is the number of God. Now, it is man that is surrounding God, or is placed above God.
If what Doc is saying is true, this could represent the person the Bible calls the man of sin, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped. Doc's interpretation seems to also fit the worship of Lucifer, for in the Bible, Lucifer declares that he will exalt his throne above the stars of God. Next, Doc claims a second hexagram can be found by connecting the various points where the much talked about number 13 is represented.
And don't try to tell me it's the 13 colonies.
There are 13 stars above the eagle's head, 13 stripes in the shield, 13 leaves on the olive branch, 13 arrows in the eagle's talon, and then 13 letters in the phrase E pluribus unum, which makes for 2 points on either side of the eagle's head, for the 6 points total of the hexagram.
If we take a close look at the same seal and connect all the 13 together, just like we did when we were kids, when we were playing that game, connect the dots, once we connect all the 13s, it becomes very apparent where the second hexagram can be found. And this one, which is very obvious, already comes with a circle around it.
So this is the second hexagram here in figure 2.
Yes.
And then where's the third hexagram?
The third hexagram can be found on the other part of the Great Seal. Again, connect all the 13 together, the 13 letters, the 13 steps in the pyramid, connect all this together. And you'll note, with the circle that's already there, it forms the third hexagram. In other words, a 6, and a 6. A 6, 6, 6.
Doc has deciphered a code that, if there, would glorify Lucifer's Messiah, whom the Bible calls the beast or Antichrist. In the book of Revelation, it reads, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666." Could there really be 3 6-pointed hexagrams on the dollar bill?
Once we start at the base of the pyramid, which is the foundation of all things, and follow the design of the hexagram itself, you're going to find out something very startling. We go from the M and follow the symbol all the way up to the A. The A cuts directly underneath the eye of Lucifer all the way to the S. The S connects all the way down. It goes in between the V and the I and connects all the way to the O. And following the symbol, the O connects up and over along the symbol of the hexagram to the word N. in perfect sequence, it's M-A-S-O-N, Mason. It's not what a lot of other people have espoused, that the symbol connects down to the M in seclorum and that the word is an anagram or something like that. Those people who are doing that obviously don't know what they're talking about, or they don't know how to plagiarize me correctly. Because the Order of the Illuminati have stated, and always will state, this is perfectly spelled out to be M-A-S-O-N, Mason. This points conclusively that the Masons have been involved in the Order of the Illuminati. This was back during the Council of Wilhelmsbad, which would have been July 16, 1782.
All right, so what are we seeing?
Now, if we look at the bottom one of the reverse side of the dollar bill, you'll see on the right-hand side that, again, there's a lot of busy intersecting diagonal lines. Yet, if we apply the same principle we just used to reveal the hidden hours of the Illuminati and apply it, you'll find that there is now a skull-faced winged demon. And it is very obvious, once you take away the background, the busy noise, it becomes very apparent what it is, and that it's been there all along. And if we just simply go and enlarge that section, just start with a small one, and just keep enlarging it, and enlarge it even more, even with the background noise there, as I call it, I think it becomes very apparent what we are now looking at. That it is still a skull-faced winged demon. And it is these demons that are protecting and blessing the two great seals of the Order of the Illuminati. And it would make perfect sense that it had to be demons used to protect these seals, since I am convinced it was those same demons that handed them over to Thomas Jefferson when they first created them. I am convinced, beyond all doubt, that that indeed was a demon sent up from the bowels of hell, probably under the direct orders of Lucifer himself.
Doc Marquis makes it clear that he is no longer involved in the occult, and that since becoming a Christian, he has dedicated himself to warning others about the activities of the secret societies that worship Lucifer.
I've been doing this now since the late 70s, when I first left the Order of the Illuminati, and that's when, at that point, I had become a born-again Christian. At that time, I realized what I had been doing all along. Maybe in my own way of trying to make up for what I had done, and I've done a lot of heinous things in this life, I begin to wonder if I'm not trying to make up or atone for some of those things I had done. And I know in my heart of hearts that as a born-again child of the King, my sins have already been bought and paid for. But still, there's just that part of me that still feels so guilty about everything I've done. So it could be in my own way, and I'm somewhat convinced that in my own way, I'm still trying to make up for all those crimes I was guilty of when I was in the Illuminati.
Okay. If you people would be good enough, please take a dollar bill out, because we're going to be going through this. Please follow me, follow along. You will notice on your dollar bill, this seal will appear on the left-hand side. Okay, you will notice at the very top of the pyramid a 13-letter expression, and directly beneath it, another one. This is, in Latin, it says, Annuit Corruptus Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means, announcing the birth of a new world order. This new world order, now if you look at the bottom of the pyramid in Roman numerals, it says MDCCLXXVI. This is 1776, but we are not talking about July 4th. We are talking about May 1st, 1776, the very day in which the Illuminati was officiated. I will be able to show this part of it to you afterwards as far as the proof that this is indeed May 1st. You will notice the pyramid itself is made up of 13 levels. Now, I'm sure many of us have heard of numerology before. This is where you take numbers and assign them to letters, correct? You will notice there's another system in the occult. It's known as gematria. Again, there are 13 levels to it. 13 in gematria is the number for depravity and rebellion. In short, what this entire seal is saying is that on May 1st, 1776, a new world order had come about. It would be based on depravity and rebellion and headed by Lucifer. Now, if you will take a look to the right-hand side of your dollar bill, you will notice the all-familiar eagle, correct? You will notice that there are 13 stars, a 13-letter banner, the eagle's holding the banner, the breastplate, the arrows, tail feathers, and the olive branch. I'm going to switch to a black and white one because the breastplate especially breaks up into a certain pattern that you need to take a good look at. Starting at the very top, you will notice the cluster of 13 stars. Surrounding those 13 stars are 28 guidelines. 28 in gematria stands for eternity, or that which is eternal. Directly beneath those 13 stars, you will notice the eagle is holding a 13-letter banner. The banner in Latin says E pluribus unum. Translated, E pluribus unum means one out of many. But the question is, one out of many what? When Dr. Adam Weishaupt was formulating the Illuminati, he was infiltrating the Masons, the Jesuits, the Rosicrucians, and other occult schools of his day and age. What he was doing was taking the best and the brightest minds out of these organizations and bringing them into his own. What he was doing was forming one group out of many group. This is what that is talking to. You will notice the eagle is looking to the right. Whenever the bird, symbolically speaking, looks to the right, it's looking on in favor of whatever it's looking towards. Compare this to the Nazi warbird of World War II, where it was looking to the left, away, in opposition. In other words, it was not looking on in favor. This particular eagle is not what we call a perfect one, because the wings have 32 feathers and one has 33. This is because they represent the two factors of masonry. One factor, the York Rite, has 32 degrees, the Scottish Rite has 33 degrees. We're going to get into the Masons and how they've been fooled. And literally 95% of all Masons do not realize that they've been victimized. You will notice a very unusual breastplate upon the eagle. There are 12 horizontal lines and 18 vertical lines. 12 in gematria is the number for governmental perfection. 18 is the number for bondage. But what is more interesting is that these 18 lines are broken down into 6 sections, making the white field into 7. 6 is the number for man, 7 is the number for God. What they are literally doing is putting man above God. You will notice the eagle has 8 talons or claws in that they are clenched. 8 is the number for new beginnings. But once again, they are clenched. Symbolically speaking, something's being taken away. If something was being given, they would be open. The olive branch on the left-hand side has 13 leaves and 13 berries. Over here we have 13 arrows. The olive branch itself represents peace, and the berries represents the fruit of that peace. The arrows represent our military might and our ability to defend ourselves. But notice how they're being taken away. Tail feathers have always been used for guidance and stability. We all know this. This particular symbol is known as a hexagram. It has 6 points to it, and it has a circle around with it. In order for anyone in the occult to summon up a demon, and I mean a literal demon, to this plane of existence, they must use that symbol. That has to be used. Now, this is not to be confused with this symbol up here. That is commonly referred to as the seal of Solomon, the Mogan David, or the seal of David. You will notice it is 2 equilateral triangles that are interwoven. This shows the union of man with God. This particular symbol, the hexagram, takes a equilateral triangle and puts it on top of another. This is placing man above God. Response is that it represents the 13 colonies. Well, why so many 13s? That's a little bit redundant. We have 13 stars, we have banners and letters that make up 13, 13 leaves on the berries, 13 arrows. Why so many 13s? If we play connect the dots, the hexagram once again is shown. 13 stars, and you follow the outline now of the star itself. Straight down to the 13 arrows, to the 13 olive branch, and they connect. Straight through and across the stars through the 13 lettered banner. 6 and 7 here makes 13. Notice a point right down here where you're supposed to connect it. And if you notice, the seal already comes with a circle. Now, if my premise is correct, there has to be a third 6 somewhere. And if you look towards the other seal, you will find the other hexagram. Once again, all we have to do is just connect the 13. So the 13 steps, the 13-letter banner, which if you notice goes directly underneath the capstone and connects down here.